Wow, you can see how wet it is. And lots of water logging here. I just checked back over my shoulder, but it doesn't look like we will have to worry about rain. Good morning. We've got some beautiful contemplations this morning. A new king presenting himself before God generously, available, docile. King has a lot of power, a lot of clout, and yet he presents himself humbly before God. And we all remember that we are all called to kingliness, to kingship. And we might have a lot of talents and a lot of connections, a lot of abilities to present ourselves humbly before the Lord. And what's the request Solomon makes? We're now at the beginning of the book of Kings. Solomon asks for not the lives of his enemies, and not for riches or wealth, and not for a growth in power. He asks for wisdom to judge properly, because he has a lot of decisions to make. He will be asked to decide, what are we going to do on this issue, on that issue, and this problem and that problem. And he will decide, and what he will say will be done, and it will affect a lot of people. Wisdom parents need for their family. Business leaders need for a business. Even wisdom driving conditions. Sometimes they're very small decisions, but sometimes they have large consequences, implications. There's all the cattle up here. A new volunteer, well, an old volunteer back again. I don't know if I told you we had 240 people for lunch 2 days ago from the US, from all over the US. And every day we're having some visitors. And yesterday I got a request for filming for a pastor and he's coming with 40 people in, I think, around the middle of February. So it's interesting. Thanks be to God. A lot of airlines have resumed flights. Not from the US airlines, but European airlines have resumed flights here. Decisions to resume flights, decisions to organize a pilgrimage, decisions to buy a home, to sell a home. We're called on to make a lot of decisions, and Solomon asked for that gift of wisdom. A great prayer for us to make. Great way to present ourselves before the Lord. You guide me. You give me right thinking. I hear the catfish. But it might also simply be the water on the stones. Oh yeah, there are catfish over here. Oh wow. So just down there are some. And then over here where this sticks are on the water. But the water is also hitting off the stones and rippling. Oh, it's really rising. I just noticed on the report for the water level of the Sea of Galilee yesterday that it has risen 44 centimeters in a week. That's like a half a meter almost. And I imagine since I read it, it was posted on the 1st, and today we're in the 3rd. So probably in the last 9 days it has risen half a meter. What we could do is we can watch it on these steps. So now it hasn't reached that platform step, the last one, of this old stairs, and we can have that as a marker. Keep an eye on it. And then there's another prudent step that's done today, and that is we remember the other day we had the 12 going out to do all their mission. Jesus was sending them out 2 by 2. And today he gathers the men. They come back, they tell their stories, and he says, let's go and rest. He noticed they were exhausted. Let's go and rest for a while. Let's go to a quiet place to rest. And actually what we could do now is think about how that's also a form of prayer. To go and rest in the Lord, in the peace of the Lord. And that's the whole idea also of Shabbat, of Sabbath. So we can say Shabbat Shalom to the Jewish folks who are following today. Shabbat Shalom. The peace of rest, of taking a break from drudgery. And drudgery can be a reality. Life can be very demanding. Drudgery can be a reality. And also in apostolic work, in the work of evangelizing, the work of being a missionary, the work of looking after a community, a congregation, to have time for rest. And there are lots of thoughts, also comparing these two moments, Solomon's and Jesus with his 12, Solomon with his kingdom and all the people. And Solomon is the son of David, and he appeals to that fact in his prayer to God. And Jesus is the son of David. And Solomon is firmly set on the throne as the son of David, according to the promise. And that's also Jesus, son of David. A different kind of throne, but also a different kind of solidity. And one is the prayer of request, asking for wisdom. And another one is being with the Lord. Just being with the Lord. Resting with the Lord. And that's a whole other kind of prayer. And that prompts me to suggest something for you. This Lent, Kathleen has prepared and is preparing and working on another virtual pilgrimage for you. And I know that many of you have enjoyed her pilgrimage, the way she has led it. It's a little collaborative effort. I do a little bit in the background as well. And we have the masses each day, so I'm conscious of the pilgrimage and echo those themes. But it's going to be a pilgrimage about prayer, about the prayer life, about entering into communion with God, the loving communion with God. And what I encourage you to do is go to the Magdala website, magdala.org, and just see the announcement for the pilgrimage and register. And I understand, somebody told me yesterday, I haven't verified it myself, that there are about 4,000 people signed up for the English pilgrimage. And many times that signed up for the Spanish pilgrimage. So you English speakers should get a move on there and share it around and encourage people to join in on the pilgrimage. So that could be a very practical thing. And I think I'm going to stop talking right now so that you have a little time alone with the Lord. Or maybe you're facing an issue and you need to do the prayer of Solomon to ask for wisdom. And God was very pleased with that prayer. And the time with the Lord can be short, can be longer, and you just enjoy it. And meanwhile, we'll say, Shabbat Shalom. Have the peace, the quiet, the tranquility, the joy of being with the Lord.